How's it going, everybody? My name is Mitch and welcome to the channel. On today's tutorial, we'll be moving a SketchUp model and putting it into Clip Studio Paint. Now there's a lot of ways you can do this. The way I'm going to show you is the free version of SketchUp. It's going to be SketchUp Make 2017. This is kind of like the free version of SketchUp. Now you can go ahead and buy SketchUp. It's a pretty cool program. It's pretty expensive. I think it's about $300. Yep, per year for the pro version. For personal use, they do also have, if you have a school email, you can get it for $55 a year. It's a really cool program. A lot of web comic creators use this program to supplement 3D models, and it's a lot easier process on how to export the models into Clip Studio. But if you don't have $50 laying around, or you're not currently a student, don't want to pay the $300, this method is free. So what you have to go and download and install SketchUp Make 2017, and linked to this website will be down below. So I have that installed already. We'll go ahead and open it up, SketchUp 2017. And you're going to have to make a Trimble account. That's what SketchUp uses. So basically, we're using it for free. Try SketchUp for free. All right, and we are in. So you can go ahead and ignore that. So right up here is going to be the 3D warehouse. This is where all the models are located. Pretty much any model that was created or ever uploaded to the 3D warehouse should show up in here. And a lot of, again, like I said, a lot of webcomic creators use this program to use as backgrounds. Unfortunately, with this free method I'm going to show you, the textures don't actually transfer. I'll try to see if there's any other way. As far as I know, you can't really transfer them without actually having the pro version. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you'll find out here in a little bit. So we got a cool looking house. Let's just use that as an example. So you just go ahead and you can pretty much search whatever you want. So if you just search like house or something like that, it usually helps if you spell it right too. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can find. You can make a lot of cool scenes. You can even do custom stuff. I haven't delved into that too much, but it's a very powerful program. I know a lot of people in construction use it professionally. And I know a lot of people in the art world use it as well. So we go and download, and you want to load directly into your model. I usually don't like to put it next to this dude because if you're going to be using it for something else, you don't want him being in the way. So then you click it. Now it's in the world. Usually how I move around, there's probably way better ways. Again, I'm not an expert in this. I don't use it that much. I really just put models, occasionally move models to make a different scene. But I usually just click the pan to move around like that, and then you can use the middle mouse button to kind of rotate like that. It's not really doing it right now because I'm recording. There we go. So we got our model right here. What I used to do is if you go to File, Export, you can export it as a 2D graphic, and then it kind of saves as any file type you want. And then I would kind of use that as a background, and then I would trace over it. And you can do that, and this way it will keep the textures in this version. But we are going to be exporting the model actually to Clip Studio because you can if you have 3D models, like if you use the Vroid models and import them Clip Studio, like I did in a previous video, you kind of want to move those models around this model just to make better shots. So we're going to go to File, Export again, and then 3D Model. And so what you see here is 3D Get Pro 3D Exporters. So if you do have the Pro version, when you do 3D Model, you'll get a lot more options of what to export it as. I would recommend saving it as a .obj because that works really well with Clip Studio Pro. And typically all of the textures on the model should transfer over. and you don't really have to do the step I'm about to do now. But for all of us people out there who are poor, like myself, we have to do the free version. So we'll go ahead and export it as a .dae file. So we're going to go ahead and save it to here. We'll call it test2 because I was messing around with this to make sure it still worked properly. And export. So there we go. So it's exported. So now you're going to go to a website right here. I have it pulled up, meshconvert.com. It'll bring you to this site right here. You're going to choose that file that you just did. Test2 right there. And then make sure it goes as a .obj. Yep. And start. Just take a couple seconds here. And there it is. You just got to click it and it should download. You can just move it to whatever folder you would like. We'll just keep it in our downloads for now. So now we're going to go ahead and open up Clip Studio Paint. We'll go File, New. All right. And then you can actually drag and drop that downloaded file if you want. We'll go ahead and do that. And there it is. You can also do File, Import 3D Data, and you would go ahead and find it as well. So there's that model. So what you can, as you can see, the wood did not transfer over. So, that did not transfer over at all. I did try to mess around to make sure that it wasn't working because of user error. Like sometimes if you don't have the right textures, if you don't have the textures exported correctly, or they're not where the model is, of course they're not going to show up. But it wasn't anything like that. So I haven't really found a way to import them onto this for free. So we'll just have to make do with this for now. Hopefully I can find a way to do it for free in the future. But again, if you do have SketchUp Pro version, the texture should export properly when you export it straight to a .obj from SketchUp. So here it is. Here's the model. With that being said, since it doesn't have the textures, I know a lot of webcomic creators will sometimes just throw it into their program. We'll just throw it into Clip Studio and then just leave it, and then that's their background. Honestly, I don't really like it. I think it's kind of lazy. And it's just jarring for me because as a webcomic creator, every time I see it, I'm just like, they couldn't like trace over or draw it, make it look a little bit like their art style. So this way it enforces you to, make it blend in with your art style. So we got our file right here. So what I like to do is you can actually select all your different kind of actors, you can call them, or objects in the scene. So you can actually go ahead and lock it so it won't move. So we can't like accidentally move it. I've done that a couple times. It's also good to do when you bring in new characters, as we'll do right now. So I got a character. So this is actually a character we just imported from Vroid. And as you can see, it is nowhere to be seen, or it's actually very tiny. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's very tiny, so you can actually scale them. Yeah, because the scales are not always going to be correct, I guess. What I like to do is for major scenes, is I kind of like just get all my actors, all my characters into the scene, and then scale them proportionally or however big they need to be, and then write them down. Write down the number right here, just in case it gets changed or this file gets lost or whatever. And then you can actually just save this as a .clip file, and it'll keep everything here, so you can come back to it. So while we're here as well, I can show a couple tips on how to kind of trace over and get better camera angles. So one issue I notice running when I do this is don't really rely on these too much. Rely on these for big shots, these camera angles. Every time you try to move into an actor and you get closer and closer and closer, that kind of happens. Like this kind of goes all over the place, and it's kind of annoying. And once you get it, it kind of depends on the scenery. This one turned out pretty fine. But sometimes you can only go a certain distance and the controls get a little wonky. So what I like to do is I have my character selected right here, like that. And if you go down to here, this little camera, you can specify the angle. So it's really fast way to kind of snap to some shots you want while having the house, be in the background. And then you'd kind of use this to kind of fine tune what you want. And I just think that's a way easier thing to do than kind of move around to where you want. Another issue I've ran into, and you may run into, is when you're trying to drag and drop 3D models. This usually I usually only have this issue when I have like another model in the scene, as we'll see here. That was a bad model that didn't work. But when I try to drag and drop like a pose onto the characters, it works fine. It should work fine. If you ever run into an issue where you're dragging and dropping it and it's not like working, it's like making a new character. It'll like make a new character like this. Yeah, we don't want that. What you can do is you select the character, and then right down here, this is like the scan pose. Pose scanner. The second one is use 3D pose material. And that gives you all of the ones that you've downloaded and all the other ones you can search. It's really cool. So you just double click it, or press it once, okay, and it switches to that. So that's pretty much it. So then what you do is you go to a new layer, and I just, especially for lines like this, I just, I like to use the line tool. You can trace over it, but I mean, it doesn't look... It'll look more organic, but for structures, I kind of like it more straight edge because they're, kind of constructed to be perfect like that. And there's another cool thing you can do to make it look a little bit cooler, to make it a little bit more hand-drawn. So if you are in a vector layer, this wasn't a vector layer. So if you're in a vector layer and you're doing this, let's go to a straight line here. You're doing that. That's a good thick line. It's good. So you're doing all that. It looks pretty, basic. It looks, like I used the line tool. Because that's what I did. At the bottom here, you go to correct line. And then you can do scale down width. That's what I usually do. Then you can change the brush size you want to use. And you kind of just go over them and look how it gets a little bit skinnier right there. And you can kind of just play with that number to your liking. But what it does, it just kind of makes it look like there's different line pressure sensitivity. And I kind of would just play with that as you would like. And you can definitely do that with your regular G pen as well if you're in a vector line, which is another cool feature with Clip Studio Paint. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. Again, very basic. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns on how to do this, please let me know in the comments down below. I will try to be looking into how to get the actual textures on the models, because that would be nice. But for my purposes, I don't really even use them anyway, so this works just fine. But if you kind of want to, use the textures to kind of just put them in your project and not have to really worry about it. It might be nice to actually see the textures instead. But for now, you can't do that as far as I know. I'm sure there's probably a way you can do it, but I'll have to keep looking into it. And again, if you do have the paid version, you should just be able to export it directly to a .obj, and the textures should show up just fine. Well, thank you all for watching. If you, again, any comments, questions, or concerns, let me know. Feel free to sub to this channel. We're doing a lot more videos on this channel, actually just starting out. We'll be doing a couple of videos on how to do a whole bunch of different things in Clip Studio, Blender, and Vroid. on how to kind of just, make a somewhat decent comic with having little to no art skills like myself. Again, thank you for watching.